All right, I think we're going. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Connor. Welcome back to the In Full Swing show. And I'm back here with my new comedic friend, Rob Mulholland, on the final word to go over everything Leeds United. And obviously with the 4-3 loss yesterday, we are back. We are here to talk about the game. Rob, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, really well, man. Really, really well. That is one of my favourite defeats I've ever seen yesterday. It was. I've not enjoyed Leeds losing like that for I think ever. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate. And I don't really know how the best way to go through it. Really, I mean, it was just. I mean, from
where do you start?
That's it. It's like from start to finish. I mean, what was your sort of first take on the team?
Well, I think we looked really, really impressive, and I was really pleased with the step up. Because obviously that's what we're worried about. It's like we've been that fantastic playing against some very average teams in the Championship. So then go play one of the all-time great Premier League sides. We've got to remember here, this isn't just any old side we were playing. They are world champions. They are at an incredible level. And to go and match them and to come away from it actually genuinely gutted that we didn't get something from it, from going to Anfield. I think for a newly promoted side, it was unreal. We announced ourselves to the Premier League, I think, yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. And I think it was one of those where it was just, you didn't believe it. I mean, when it first started, I was a little bit, so you saw Liverpool coming out straight away and it was just their press. And what I noticed difference-wise was just the level of press, but how they were able to just retain possession and keep possession. I think there was one moment where Salah had the ball on midway and Leeds just swarmed him, but still he came out with the ball.
Yeah, that's the difference. When you do that to Championship players, we get the ball. So, obviously it was a whole different level. But yeah, I had the same thing when there was a moment just before kickoff where the camera just panned around the Liverpool team. And I'm just looking at Van Dijk and Salah and Mane and Firmino and just all these incredible world-class players, and my bum went a bit at that point. I was dead confident going into. I saw that lineup. I was like, oh no, don't get battered.
So obviously Cooper got taken out, didn't he, straight away? So when you saw
that was gutting. Gutting. Absolutely gutting for Cooper as well because it's a big moment and. He's unlucky with that. He missed the centenary game as well, didn't he? But, so obviously devastated for him. And it was a big loss for us. The way he organises us and how much of a leader he is. I think you could tell that we lost that. And obviously left us with a centre-back partnership who met 3 days ago. And Struijk's only played there, 3 times for the first team maybe. And looks more comfortable in midfield every time I've seen him. So, for a team that was sort of in areas hastily cobbled together. God, what? Oh, it was unreal. But yeah, seeing Cooper out was a real worry for me because we're not exactly, overflowing with centre-back options anyway, are we?
No, mate. And obviously we're actually thinner than last year, obviously, with the absence of Berardi, which is mad. But do you know what, mate? Looking at it, I thought Pascal Struijk had a brilliant game. A lot of people are talking about, oh, well, this, that, and the other. And they're just saying, well, he didn't, his percentages and all this sort of stuff. I thought that's a load of rubbish. I thought his pass percentages were brilliant. He was winning every header. I think he won something like 6 out of 6 of his aerial duels. And I thought he was absolutely phenomenal in that game.
Yeah, it was colossal, wasn't it? And this is it. It was, I think the problem we had, obviously, was communication between him and Koch. And, they met 3 days ago, so they weren't a gelled unit. But I think both of them actually put in good performances, especially with some of the bad luck that Koch suffered. It really could have gone to his, really could have, affected him. But yeah, Struijk was, I'm more and more impressed every time I see Struijk. I think obviously the Cardiff game last year gave us not a great impression of him, but I think that was an unfair one. I think what a situation to be thrown into yesterday. Going to Anfield, first game of the season, young lad. Is he still 19, 20? He's a child. And to go face that sort of pressure and stand up as he did, I think he really deserves commending.
Yeah, mate, and obviously that moves me on quite nicely to what you were talking about there. Now, Robin, I mean, for me, still wasn't a handball. Fight to arm for me.
It hit me. It's been really annoying me how much pundits have missed that. And obviously, on Match of the Day last night, they're like, yeah, no, definitely was a penalty. There is a specific rule. If it deflects off a leg, then it's not a handball.
No.
What is he meant to do? He's changing direction. He's not throwing his hand out. His hand, that's how arms are. You can't do anything more than that. He has an arm. Like, that was the problem, wasn't it?
Yeah, he needs to be limbless, really, doesn't he? But mate, I just thought like he's so unlucky. And you felt almost like, even when I went into the game, I was like, come on, here we go. But when it was Robin, I was like, you could see it in his face. He was like, no, I mean, that is
3 minutes into your debut.
Oh, mate.
It's like, can you imagine how that felt?
Yeah.
Poor guy.
All I could think was just like echoes of Woodgate at Madrid. That's what I thought. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, nah, but he like, once again, he grew into the game, and obviously we'll move on to him in a little bit. I just wanted to touch on Strike a little bit because it was obviously his first game. But in terms of like, them scoring the first goal, that first 5-10 minutes, how did you see the game? Did you see it sort of fast flowing? Did you see us sort of just bedding into the game?
Well, I at that point, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't that optimistic. when we went behind 3 minutes in against that Liverpool side, I was like, oh, this could be a long, long day. But the thing we've got to remember is when we conceded first last season, the last 2 seasons, it's been, it set the tone that we were in for a slog, because any team that did that would then just sit back for the entire game. They're like, we've got our goal, try and break us down. And that's when we could struggle sometimes traditionally. But in the Premier League, teams aren't going to do that to us all the time, especially a team like Liverpool. So, we were a Bielsa team about it. We went and carried on playing our game. And that's what I was really proud of them. Like, the heads didn't drop. And then, what a game of football. Like, what a game of football it was. Like, if I wish I was a neutral watching that. Although, to be fair, as a Leeds fan, I was dead proud and I loved it still. And, it was fantastic. But honestly, by about 20 minutes in, I'd made friends with a nice Liverpool fan in the pub I was watching it with. He had a Brudenell Social t-shirt on. He'd been to uni in Leeds and like randomly had a Brudenell Social t-shirt on it. So like I was like, oh, Leeds, and like like me and him were both of us just turning to each other every now and again, just with wide-eyed looks on our faces, like, what are we watching?
Yeah, it was sort of like Hellfire. I wanted Hellfire and Fury, but I just thought like it's a good place to touch on. Maybe so obviously we scored that first goal, and I just want to touch on Jack Harrison. I mean, not only was he absolutely phenomenal in the entire game, and I really thought Costa and Harrison, they found the levels there for me. But that goal, just it sums up, his touch, how he just sort of took it round Trent. Trent, by the way, who for me couldn't live with Harrison, couldn't handle it that game. And I just thought, mate, that what a brilliant first goal that was from Harrison.
It was Bergkamp-esque. There were shades of Bergkamp against Argentina in that goal. Like the first touch to control it and take it away from his man, the second to cut between the two defenders, and then the third just to bury it. Absolutely amazing. And like the growth of Jack Harrison over the last couple of years has been just so good to watch, hasn't it? He's really developed into the player that, like when he came to Leeds, he came with big expectations, and I think that sort of hampered him a bit because he was coming with the backing of Patrick Vieira and David Villa and Pirlo. When these players say you're a player,
don't forget Lampard.
Yeah, I'll try to. But yeah, like that's it. So I think everyone just expected him to be this ready-made dynamo, and adjusting from the MLS is very different. But having that time to bed him in now, unleashing him on the Premier League, and I'm excited to watch him this season just because it was a phenomenal performance. It was his normal levels of work rate and his dedication to the task, but combined with that level of quality that he's just bringing out of himself now. It's amazing to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, absolutely brilliant. And obviously we'll touch on specific performances, but I think with Liverpool's second goal, I mean, that was probably the most frustrating one for me, just because it just seemed extremely easy for Van Dijk, the biggest player. I mean, he's a colossus, isn't he? He's just enormous, looks extremely, he's a big boy. But he did, what a lot of people miss, Rob, for me, was once again, and we saw this a bit later on when Curtis Jones fouled him, I feel Robin was blocked again.
Yeah, he was blocked off. I mean, that goal for me felt like missing Cooper. Like, I feel like if Cooper's on the pitch, we're a bit better organised from that corner. He might come clear it. He's probably going to be taking Van Dijk at that corner. I'd be the best header of the ball. So I think that was a big loss there. But we know that set pieces are going to be an issue, and it is something we're going to have to try and address because. Like, who do we have in our team that can realistically stop Van Dijk if he wants to get on a header?
The many teams, mate.
Yeah, I know that is going to be a recurring issue, I think, and it's going to be something that's going to be a problem for us. But yeah, it was disappointing, but it was just that. Okay, yeah. As soon as there was a corner, I was terrified. But yeah, it was disappointing. But again, I don't think it affected the team. That was what's really great. Heads just refused to drop constantly. It was that's happened. On we go.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the mainstay. And obviously, I'm going to touch on this chance beforehand, and on the watch along, I nearly blew a casket with this. But when Ayling put Bamford through, and
it was a very Bamford moment.
I just thought because his body was open at the time, it was on his left foot. And I thought literally it's perfect because he could switch his body.
Just a toe poke would have done it. But yeah, he can be guilty of over elaborating, can't he? And he was just trying to get round for the clear chance. And no, and I don't want to hammer him because I think he had a brilliant performance all round. But yeah, it was one of those where you just take a shot in it. Just take the shot.
What about the second one then? What about Leeds' second?
I mean, what just like I don't know what happened. I don't really fully understand it. I mean, I thought
build up.
Brilliant build-up through midfield, absolutely unreal. Like that was absolutely peak Leeds through midfield. But then it was just like this, nothing hopeful ball over the top from Dallas. It didn't really, it didn't look like it would cause any problems. But I don't know. Van Dijk clearly took his eye off Bamford and didn't know where he was and was a bit lazy and didn't expect the pressing to be that intense. I think I don't think he expected Bamford to make up that ground. Like most centre forwards won't be bothered. And then Bamford did exactly like he learned his lesson. I think we'll say with Bamford. As soon as he got it, just in, just watching it slowly dribble in. It was like it reminded me of Beckford's goal against Man U. When you got to watch it for ages before it goes in. It was one of those. I was like, "Is this going in? Is this going in? It's going in."
But then, and I thought it was a brilliant second. He took it very well, and there is a correlation in terms of how badly for me Van Dijk, Trent, and probably Robertson and Gomez as well played because of that Leeds press. They were playing that high line, but for me, we just continually kept exposing them, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We really did. And I've seen a number of people on Twitter saying, right, well, I think Leeds have exposed how you play against Liverpool. And it's like, well, I don't think other teams can do that, to be honest, because they've not trained to do it for 2 years under Marcelo Bielsa. It's they couldn't handle us. And I think a lot of teams will struggle with the way we play because it's so different. And we did. We constantly exposed them, and they looked rattled and they weren't comfortable in possession. They didn't get any time to pick out those long balls that they normally do. Like that's normally such a key part of their play, isn't it? Especially from Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. Like a lot of big long balls, and they're sort of playmaking from the wings. But because we were right down their throats, they often just didn't get a chance to pull any of that.
Yeah, nullifying. I mean, you don't see many teams nullifying Trent and Robertson, do you? But they was completely ineffective in that game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had moments when they'd got into our half, but there were mainly more moments where the play was already a bit more advanced. There wasn't a lot of those moments that you see with Liverpool where those two spark the play. It was more like the play was already up the pitch and they were getting involved.
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. And you saw as well, I think Van Dijk made more mistakes in that game than he has in any singular game during last season.
Oh well, yeah, he didn't quite look the player we used to see him, which was great. Paddy Bamford rattled him, couldn't handle it. He couldn't live with Bamford. He genuinely couldn't live with Bamford. And we've all been kind of I think a lot of Leeds fans have a bit of a weird relationship with Bamford, and there's been a bit of we're going to be starting Bamford against Van Dijk. It turns out, he can do that, and he works really well.
Yeah, and he got in, and first game, first goal against Liverpool away. Who'd have expected that, mate?
His reaction was so nice as well. Did you his celebration? There was just this moment where he started celebrating, and you just saw him realise what he'd just done, and there's just this joy and relief just came over his face, and he just had to himself just a little fist pump. Just because, he must have been feeling the pressure and being like, right, this is my chance to establish myself as a Premier League player, and I've got to take this. Rodrigo's come in to threaten his place. He knows the pressure's on. And I was absolutely delighted for him, really delighted for him to get that. And he fully deserved it on his performance yesterday.
So the Salah goal, it's a postage stamp. It's an incredible finish.
You've got to hold your hands up to that one, haven't you?
Yeah. All I'd say, Rob, with that one is it did seem that there was about 4 Leeds players on Van Dijk, and then Salah was just sort of left by himself.
Yeah, again, organisation defensively was an issue a couple of times, and again, I think that comes down to players not playing together and also like not having Cooper. People didn't know the roles a couple of times, and that's something that will improve as we go on, hopefully. Especially if we sound like Gvardiol or another centre back, hopefully as well, to give us a bit more quality in there. But yeah, obviously leaving Salah alone is a bad idea in the box. Don't give him any space because he doesn't need much. But that one you can't even be too annoyed about because that's just a world-class player doing something world-class. It was unreal. No one on earth saves that. It is phenomenal. So you just got to hold your hands up to what an incredible finish from a great player. And we're not going to be playing Mo Salah every week. There is literally, there's no one in the league as good as him. So, we're not going to have to face that every week. But yeah, that was one where I was like, yeah, this is why these boys are the best.
No, and I think you bang on, mate. I think we're not going to play someone like Mo Salah every week. And I think if anything, it was Mo Salah against Leeds yesterday. I thought he showed what a world-class player he was. But if you take Salah out of that side, I think we'd have beaten Liverpool yesterday. I genuinely think we'd have beaten them. He looked sharp. He was a man on a mission. I think Dallas played well, but you're coming up. But Dallas tried his best, but coming up against his quick turns, how good he is on the ball, his interchange with Firmino.
He's so explosive as well, Salah. He could go from standing just to full pace, just instantly, just on the turn. He can have his back to you and just be gone. And his power, his strength, and his technique, obviously, he's just the all-round forward, isn't he? He can just do everything. He's phenomenal, and there's a reason he's been, the best in the league for a while. And there were times where I was just trying to enjoy watching Liverpool play because, this is who we're playing now, and that's a joy to be playing against the best, and I was genuinely taking the joy from that and really enjoying it yesterday. I just did. So yeah, hats off to them. They were fantastic. We were dead good though as well. But yeah, Salah was obviously the difference, and he's just clinical as well. But you got to remember, 2 of his goals are penalties. And without those, very different story.
That's it, mate. It's life now, isn't it? Playing the best and leaving Quest. That is the life.
Yes, love that, man. Get that on a slogan, on a t-shirt. That's beautiful.
But yeah, we obviously got once again Leeds 3 times at the best home record in the world at Liverpool, and once again Leeds coming back. Newly promoted team, 3rd goal, and for me, mate, the goal of the match. Helder Costa, quality ball. That was a pass, by the way. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Click first touch, and just wow,
just awesome, wasn't it? I absolutely love Mateusz Klich. I think he's an incredible player. I'm planning on getting
to the Premier League as well, Rob. Suited to the Premier League, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And he's made that step up, and he's going to be absolutely fine. He is a top class midfielder. I'm getting I think I'm going to get the green and blue away shirt with Klich on the back. Also, because whenever I'm around a lot of Leeds fans, people start singing the Klich song at me because of their beards. So I think I have to. But yeah, and just so richly deserved again. His second half performance in particular was absolutely incredible, just running the show, Klich. And Costa as well. Costa was a player, I'll be honest with you, I was a little concerned about his step up because, he didn't quite manage it with Wolves. And at times last season, he was a bit patchy. He's always looked incredibly skillful, but that little bit of extra end product was sometimes missing. But again, he's a player who will flourish when teams aren't packing the box against us. And he showed that yesterday. When he can run at players and when he can put them under pressure, he's phenomenal. And there's a reason Marcelo Bielsa has signed him, and there's a reason he's in this team. And he showed it fantastically yesterday. And that goal was just something else. I didn't think we'd be seeing a goal that could compete with Harrison's for a while. And then we saw another one later in the match.
And Rodrigo, to be fair, mate, he did come on and he was part of the goal, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Obviously, his overall contribution wasn't as what he would have hoped. But he was just... I know, just dead unlucky with that. But yeah, no, he did. And like, you know, saw like a little couple of touches from him. He's only been at the club a couple of days, you know, give him a chance to bed in. But yeah, like it was nice to see just that little bit of quality from him. I think, you know, we've got a player on our hands, definitely.
Yeah,
but, yeah, you know,
with that fourth, mate, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, it's like it's one of those where it's like it's a clumsy challenge, isn't it? It's you know, it probably is a penalty. It's Rodrigo. You know, he's enthusiastic, he's hyped up, he's trying to be in the match and trying to make something happen and panicking last minute. And yeah, it was gutting, but you know, I don't have. You can't really blame him. It was a mistake. He was clearly devastated. He'll come back stronger from it. You know, and I don't know about anyone else. I wasn't actually that gutted. Like, you know, obviously I would love to come out with a point, and, you know, we deserved a point from that performance. But I was just sort of like, okay, you know, because it doesn't really matter how we do against Liverpool in terms of points for our season. You know, we're like, but like all the Liverpool fans I've been speaking to today have been like, you were really great, but you're not quite at our level. And I was like, yeah, you're world champions. You know, it's going to take us a while, like, but to be even close, you know, it's unreal. And like, we only have to be better than 3 teams in the Premier League, and we definitely are. Like, the amount of confidence I've taken out of yesterday. Look, I've never been shy about saying how good I think Leeds United are. I've not exactly hidden me like under a bushel, but after that, I'm even more confident. I think we were, you know, like you can't be a Leeds fan and be too upset about yesterday, can you?
Not at all, mate. Is there any sort of? I mean, I picked out Costa and Harrison, just wing play. Obviously, we stopped Trent and we stopped Robertson. But are there any sort of parts of the play that you felt that we were brilliant at? I thought once again Bamford, when he was taken off, I once again, like we saw at Birmingham, like we saw at West Brom, I don't know whether
control.
Yeah, we lost a little bit from the front, I think, and obviously we know Rodrigo's new, but we saw it with Nketiah, you know, when he was in the fold as well. But I don't know whether or not these little aspects where Bamford obviously brings so much to the team and he holds it up from the front, and he was causing Gomez and Van Dijk problems. So I mean,
glad to see him go. You know, they were definitely.
Yeah, did you see that?
Yeah, and like, you know, you can just tell, like, just in the way that they were a little transformed by it. But Rodrigo will get there once he's had a bit of more Bielsa drilling in what to do in those situations. You know, he's got the work rate, he's got the strength, he's got the pace to do all these things. He just doesn't know the role as well as Bamford yet. So, you know, Rodrigo will get there. But yeah, like Bamford was hugely influential and was a loss when he went off again. So, you know, it'll take a little while for Rodrigo to settle in to get to the same level as that. But in terms of like other bits of the play that I thought were really influential, I think Luke Haling's step up was, what a performance. You know, for a player we signed for what, like $500,000 from Yeovil to be doing that. Like
Mane wasn't in the game.
And like Sadio Mane is a phenomenal player. Let's not get it twisted. Like, he is fully world class, Sadio Mane. And to keep him as quiet as he was, you know, he only had a couple of little moments. What a performance from Luke Ayling. And, you know, getting forward as well and being aggressive and like making things happen in the opposition half like he does. You know, we all knew about his work rate and his dedication and everything like that, but his quality just shone. And yeah, it was really great to see, because like you can't not love Luke Ayling, can you? Like, he just seems like a great bloke. Like, and just by all accounts, he's just top. So really lovely to see him make that step up, and I think he's going to absolutely fly in the Premier League. I think he's going to love it.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I just think there was the positive about like someone like Luke Ayling, Matthias Klick. Obviously, we'll touch on Calvin in a sec, but just how the transitions you're expecting. I mean, we didn't expect anything less, but if it was gonna, I did think yesterday could potentially have been maybe 2, maybe 3-0, and you know, Leeds sort of go for the first 30, then maybe blow out. But it just didn't happen that way. And I think the transitions to the Premier League from so many players were very impressive. So that leads me on nicely to Calvin. I mean, it was an interesting performance from Calvin, because I thought every time he got the ball just in front of the defence, he was switching it. There was a couple of times I thought he was caught in possession.
Yes, he was. It was a little, but like, it's a weird start to the season. I don't think the problem is with it. It's like, because it's so short, the pre-season they've had, and like with him being away on international duty, you know, players must be a bit unsettled at the moment. It must be really difficult for them on a personal level, you know, to be at the full, complete, like in the groove at the moment. So, you know, there were a couple of moments, and we've got to remember how well Liverpool press and the amount of pressure that they put us under. And, you know, a lot of like those little moments were just had some of the best pressers in the world right down his throat. But I think overall, I think he acquitted himself very well and looked, you know, like he belonged at that level totally. And some of his passing was magnificent again, made loads of tackles. And yeah, like, I was really pleased for him. I think he did very well. But like, you know, a couple of moments, like you said, but overall, really good performance from him.
Yeah, I'd agree, mate. And obviously, he started off the Jack Harrison role where he switched that brilliant ball, and that's what happens Southgate when you play a proper formation.
That's it. When you actually have some attackers for him to pick out, rather than just having 9 defensive midfielders next to him. Can we briefly, like that England game? How depressing was it watching Calvin Phillips in that midfield? Because it was amazing watching.
Just annoyed me, mate. Just annoyed me.
I know. It's like, you're not using him right. I was so happy to see him in an England shirt, obviously, made up for the lads. But then, like, every time he'd get the ball, he'd be on the half turn and he would make the little glance up that he always does when he's turning, when he's mid-turn, makes the little glance. And normally, he sees 6 players at full pace and he just chooses which one he's going to pick out with the long ball. But he kept doing that, seeing no one, and then just going, and having to pass it sideways to Declan Bloody Rice.
That's it, man. They just killed him. They absolutely killed him. And like you say, you know, Southgate's come under a lot of criticism for that. But, you know, we've seen yesterday, you put him in defensive midfield. And it had, for me, once again, Bobby Firmino, he played well, but I don't think he influenced the game as much. And that's because Calvin's just sat on the defences, you know, essentially feet. But I think it was just a terrific performance. And if I do want to touch on one thing, and listen, I'm not going to be overriding the negative, but I'd like to touch on this because I think it's real as well, Rob. Now, what we've got to do, mate, is we've got to take into consideration that we're playing the best team in the world. We're playing and that the midfield. The midfield battle was really interesting. So I thought we won it at some points, but then I thought Liverpool overran us sometimes in the middle. Now, how do you think, just based on that performance, it's Liverpool, you know, we're playing Fulham next week, no disrespect.
Much disrespect from me to Fulham.
But Pablo Hernandez, mate, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, he didn't have a classic Hernandez game. But, like, you know, he again, first game of the season, a lot of things going on. Sometimes, you know, and like, we've got to remember that sometimes players who have that bit of magic have a quieter game. And Pablo is like that. And Pablo does have games sometimes where he doesn't have that influence. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised if he's drained after the effort he put in only a few weeks ago to finish off that season. And, you know, he's not a spring chicken. So I would definitely say we could use. Obviously, we've been linked with DePaul forever, but that sort of player, just to give another player in that position.
Yeah, I think so.
Just to take some strain off him, because I'd like to see Pablo Hernandez coming on for the last half hour against tired defences to unlock them. Because, like, as he's, you know, he will lose his energy in his legs just naturally. Just, you know, he is a phenomenon, but he is getting to that age. So he's still, I would like to, have someone that we can rotate in with him. And no disrespect to Tyler Roberts, but I think Tyler Roberts is more of a second striker than a out midfielder like that. Yeah. So I don't think it was Pablo's best game. I don't think it was terrible, but he definitely didn't have the influence that we used to see him have. No,
definitely not. And are you sort of thinking to yourself that against Fulham, obviously, against Fulham last time, it was probably, I think Ben White was probably the best player on the pitch. Are you sort of confident that Robin's going to be, you know, sort of at his best against the Fulham side? Obviously, he's going to be going directly up against Mitrovic again. We saw that Ben White battle against him.
Yeah, like look, I don't know if Robin will be quite at his the best we'll get him to. You know, that'll take a while. That'll take months before it'll be at his absolute best. But I think we'll be more than good enough to beat Fulham. Like, I don't think Fulham are that good. But the problem we'll have against Fulham is that they'll likely park the bus. You know, that'll be the difficulty with them. But we're definitely much, much better than them. I'm not worried about that. I watched them against Arsenal, and jeez, like they look like a team who just come out of the Championship. Like, we did not.
Yeah, I don't think they had that mentality that we had, where it was just never give up. You know, we really could have capitulated against Liverpool yesterday every single time, but we just didn't let. We you know, I think they left the pitch yesterday, and I'll be honest with you, you saw Klopp when he went, wow. You saw Klopp when he did that, but you also saw Trent leaving the field, hands on hips, breathing heavily. Robertson doing the exact same. They didn't have an easy. They hated that game yesterday. You could just tell.
Oh yeah. Horrible to play against Leeds, but like, you know, whereas the Arsenal players were strolling off, like, you know, the shirts didn't need a wash. Well, like, you know, it Yeah, like, look, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that Scott Parker is not as good a manager as Marcelo Bielsa.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, so, you know, there isn't that level of inspiration behind them, and that sort of, like, you know, one of the real strengths of this team that we have is the team unity and how close the dressing room is and how much they are together and bonded. Yeah. And that's going to be something that will see us through a lot of tough times. And, like, look, it's going to get tough at points this season, definitely. But I think as long as we keep the faith, and like I was really, really proud of Leeds fans yesterday because, you know, we can be a grumpy bunch. But I feel like some lessons from Bielsa have been learned. And the key one being that football is about more than just the winning. It can be about the beauty and about the emotion that it creates. And like that's a key thing I've been talking about on the Bielsa Bible. Check it out. But yeah, like it was genuinely like that's the sort of philosophy that we talk about on there, and it was a real perfect encapsulation of it yesterday. In that we lost, but it was beautiful and it was incredible, and we can be really proud of it. And it's not in any way defeatist to be proud of that and to be dead happy about how we played yesterday. I think it was magnificent. It was art. What a game of football we created. What a game of football. We will talk about that game for years to come. It's one of the all-time classic Premier League matches, that. What a brilliant thing we did.
Well, yeah, and people talk about entertainment and what's football all about. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's great for the neutral, but as well, why do you watch football? It's because you love it. It's because you love to watch, you know, excellent players play football. And we just, it wasn't just sport yesterday. It was, like you said, it was encapsulated with just pure drama and entertainment. And yeah, mate, roll on Wednesday, roll on. On Wednesday, I mean, I hope Gelhardt gets a run out. I hope, you know, Greenwood. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not, like, Robin features to get his match fitness up. Rodrigo.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see them getting some run minutes in the under-23s just to get used to their role as well, because you know, obviously the 23s play exactly the same as the first team. So that's the main thing that will take a while. Obviously, we're used to Bielsa not putting in players for a couple of months and like really slowly bedding them into the system. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts to this. And I think that's going to be a struggle for us this season, that we haven't had that pre-season to bed those players in. So, but these are very, very high-quality players that we've signed, and I'm sure they will adapt to it. And, you know, Cox played a similar role. Obviously, nothing's the same as Bielsa ball, but he's played a similar system before. So I think he'll adapt quick enough. So, yeah, I think Rodrigo and Cox will get some minutes.
And do you know what, mate? Just to end on as well, have you ever seen a team? I can't remember a team going to Anfield and getting them on possession and scoring 3 goals there. I can't remember the last time.
Not for a long time. Like I did see a stat that, you know, we tackled Liverpool more at Anfield than any other team has under Klopp. Like wow. we like you know, when you put it like that, and we're talking about, you know, Bayern Munich and Man City and Barcelona and PSG. All these teams didn't do what we did to them. You know, they might have won, some of them, but overall, like, the performance level was absurd and fantastic. Like, I'm so proud of them, so proud of all of them. Genuinely, I think that the entire team could be really, really proud of themselves and how they acquitted themselves. They were just absolute heroes. Yeah, really, really proud.
And I think the transition as well, we're just going to, for me, you know, people say we're overconfident and stuff, but we know exactly how we play, and we're going to be a real spoiler for a lot of teams this year, because they're not going to want to play Leeds at all. And I think we're going to be players like Harrison, players like Costa, players like Click at this level. For me, they're going to be even better than they were in the Championship.
Yeah, totally. Like I completely agree. And having that, just that bit more space to work in. And like, there's a lot of teams in the Premier League who don't work that hard. Like, there's a lot of teams that like coast on quality. And we're gonna, like, it's not good having quality if you never have the ball. Like, what we're gonna do to teams in the middle of the pack, like teams who are just like some of the average teams in the Premier League, I think is going to be daft to watch. As long as we keep like taking our chances like we did yesterday. And then we'll fly.
And improve on set pieces, and I think we'll be flying, mate.
Yeah, but I don't know if Bielsa will ever bother with that. That's the problem. He'll just try and score 5 from open play, so we don't have to worry about it. we know who Bielsa is. Like, I don't think he's suddenly going to sign someone who's 6'8" and stick him at the back post, is he?
That's it, mate. But listen, buddy, it's nice to have a little bit of a Sunday recap, isn't it? I
enjoy it's beauty, man. Yeah, absolute pleasure. And we'll get another one done soon.
Yeah, so we're going to do another one soon, guys. And the final word is going to be every Sunday around about midday. Hopefully we'll get Rob on a couple of times, as everybody loves his face.
I'll come on whenever I can, mate. Yeah, I travel around a lot, so I'm not always at home on Sundays. But if I am, more than happy to jump on, mate. It's always a pleasure.
That's it. We'll be very excited to have you on, mate. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, like and comment. The videos did really well yesterday. We've also got watch-along clips. I did a watch-along yesterday, Rob. I got a bit excited. So the clips for that have gone online now if you guys want to check it out. Rob, where can everyone find you, mate?
Well, the main thing I want to promote at the moment is the Bielsa Bible. It's my new podcast with Mickey P. Kerr, who you might remember from the Bielsa Rhapsody and Bucket Man and all those songs. Me and him, basically, we realised there wasn't a podcast just about Bielsa, and a podcast is not enough, so we have set up a church. So that is the Bielsa Bible. There is a YouTube channel for the Bielsa Bible. It's also on podcast providers. And also check out my channel. It's Rob Mulholland. I've got my stand-up comedy special and loads of other Leeds videos and stuff on there.
Yep, go check it out, guys. Honestly, it is well worth it. Guys, have a wonderful day. Have a great Sunday. Have a nice Sunday roast, and we'll see you in a bit.
Leeds are back!